Welcome back, viewers. Our focus remains on the top stories of this hour, where according to the corruption investigation officer for the high-ranking officials, South Korean investigators were unable to execute an arrest warrant for the President Yoon Suk Yeol. Earlier, officials had been caught in a standoff with Yoon's supporters outside his residence. Upon getting clear of the supporters, officials went faced off with the former president's own security. Viewers, as you can see on your screen, presidential security forces clad in the blue uniforms stood firm, refusing to allow them any entry. There are several visuals about the nearly 6 hours long standoff of investigators and presidential security service, whereas the tension has escalated as hundreds of Yoon's supporters have gathered outside, many braving freezing temperatures, waving South Korean flags, chanting slogans in support of the president. All right, this is in fact the latest that we are bringing at this point of time. The developments have come after the South Koreans impeached President Yoon Suk Yeol defies the warrant after hours-long standoff. My colleague Brian Thomas is joining me for more. Brian, now investigators have failed to detain Yoon, and that has escalated, in fact, even more worrying scenes of political, instability in the state of South Korea, where the country's anti-corruption agency has clarified that it withdrew its investigators after the presidential security service blocked them from entering Yoon's residence. What is in fact the latest that you are picking up, and to also put some light on what is now the political escalation that's happening in South Korea?
Authorities were definitely unable to arrest impeached President Yoon Suk Yeol due to a tense standoff that happened with his security forces inside the presidential compound. Now, the attempted arrest also stems from Yoon's controversial martial law decree on December 3rd, which has triggered a high-profile investigation. Now, even in the early hours, hundreds of Yoon supporters gathered outside his residence, vying to prevent authorities from apprehending the impeached leader. Now, the crowd also posed as an initial challenge to investigators from the corruption investigation office for high-ranking officials, who even arrived at the compound shortly after 7 a.m. And once inside, the CIO officials and accompanying police encountered resistance from the Presidential Security Service and military personnel assigned to protect Yoon. Even the Ministry of National Defense later clarified that the troops were acting under the control of PSS, and the CIO also called off the arrest attempt around 1:30 p.m., citing safety concerns for its, personal duty, the obstruction by security forces. And also the agency also clearly stated that they were judged that it was virtually impossible to execute the arrest warrant due to the ongoing standoff. Now, Yoon's lawyer also labeled the arrest warrant invalid and promised that legal action against its execution. And the warrant was also approved by the court on Tuesday, which still remains valid until January 6th. And if Yoon is arrested, investigators have 48 hours to either request a detention warrant or release him. Now, very importantly, the next step as goes when the CEO announced plans to review the situation and decide on its next course of action. And this ongoing standoff also underscores the volatile political climate in South Korea as Yoon's martial law decree continues to draw scrutiny and public protest as well. Simran.
All right. In fact, Brian, thank you for adding these details. After hours long standoff, what follows is political instability as the crisis, in fact, deepens in South Korea after the anti-corruption investigators have withdrew its investigators into the Presidential Security Service. Now, in fact, joining me live on the broadcast is Foreign Affairs expert J.S. Sodhi. Colonel J.S. Sodhi is joining me live. Appreciate you joining, sir. Yoon, a former prosecutor, defied the investigators' attempt to question him for weeks. The last time he is known to have left the residence was on December 12th, when he went to the nearby presidential office to make a televised statement to the nation. And this is in fact coming at this point of time where the political instability and the crisis following afterwards only seems to deepen. What is in fact your view in the developments that are happening from South Korea?
And Simran, it's my honor to be on your esteemed channel. Firstly, wishing you, Team NewsX, and all the viewers a very happy new year. Well, what is happening in South Korea is a matter of deep and grave concern, because as the president, it is the president's, rather every citizen's duty to surrender himself or herself to the rule of law And in case a arrest warrant has been taken out for the South Korean president, he should follow the rules and procedures of the country, of his constitution. But by allowing his supporters not to get him arrested, it is, apart from creating political instability, it is also taking South Korea towards anarchy. Well, the South Korean president should understand that he is the first citizen of the country, and whatever he does will have deep ramifications on every common citizen of South Korea. So in my view, this is very unfortunate that the South Korean president is not surrendering himself to the due process of law, which he, as the president, has been advocating for long. Rather, any political leader in constitutional appointment advocates the rule of law. So it is very unfortunate, and I feel the South Korean president should set an example and surrender himself to the process of law of his country.
All right.